Number 8. Rachel Butler. Married since 2014, Rachel Butler and her husband Jason had 2 kids before the former filed for divorce in 2017. Just weeks later, despite the marital issues, the couple packed up and moved to a new house in Montgomery, Texas, putting up a united front. The couple had attended Jason's high school reunion when they got into an argument in the car on the way home. Once they arrived, the argument rapidly escalated to violence and continued through the house, culminating with Jason pulling out a gun. He proceeded to shoot Rachel in the chest before turning the gun on himself. Somehow, Rachel managed to call authorities, who rushed her to the hospital in critical condition. Jason was pronounced dead at the scene. Rachel recovered and revealed just days after the incident that she'd forgiven her late husband for what he'd done. Number 7. Simone Granger. Simone and Stephen Granger had been a couple since high school and shared a daughter and son, but their relationship was tumultuous. They had only just recently moved in together to a quiet neighborhood in Reading, England, when Stephen decided to end things permanently. Struggling with financial troubles caused in no small measure by an increasingly expensive drug problem, Stephen resolved a fight between them on November the 4th of 2017 by hitting Simone over the head with a saucepan and strangling her. He later allegedly came down to find her body cold, so he rolled her up in a carpet before leaving. Simone was found by her concerned cousin, who unlocked the door to see her feet poking out of the end of the carpet. Stephen was later arrested and admitted to killing Simone, but denied a murder charge due to self-defense. He claimed she'd come downstairs in the middle of the night and started an argument, at one point wielding scissors. After 4 hours of deliberation, due to lack of intent, a jury found him not guilty of murder and gave him a lesser sentence of manslaughter. Number 6. Christy Manzanares. In July of 2017, in celebration of their 18th wedding anniversary, Christy and Kenneth Manzanares booked a family vacation on the Emerald Princess cruise ship. On the second night, as the rest of the ship's passengers waited for the cruise's murder mystery event to begin, the duo got into an argument in their cabin. When Christy asked Kenneth for a divorce and told him to go back to Utah, the argument became so heated that they ushered their 2 daughters into a relative's room. From there, they watched in horror as their dad repeatedly punched their mum. Christy's family immediately called security, but they were too late. She couldn't be resuscitated and was pronounced dead at the scene. Her death was ruled a homicide, and Kenneth was arrested in an Alaskan port the next day. He pled guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 30 years in prison. In July of 2019, 2 years after the murder, Kenneth was found unresponsive in his cell. Number 5. David Evans. Pastor David Evans was shot to death as he slept beside his wife, Christy, in their Ada, Oklahoma home in March of 2021. The police were called just past 1 a.m. by Christy, who reported that an intruder had broken into their home and shot her husband. However, her story soon began to unravel. David had only just returned from a mission trip to Mexico, yet neighbors had seen a white Mustang pull up in front of the house days before he came back. As soon as detectives questioned her further, she broke and confessed that she and David had had intimate relations on multiple occasions with a 26-year-old by the name of Khalil Damey Square, and that she'd continued to have an affair with him behind her husband's back. She told her lover that David was verbally abusive to her and urged Square to kill him for her. While David was away in Mexico, Christy provided Square with one of his guns and left all the doors unlocked the night he returned. After being shot in his bed with his own gun, David never even made it to the hospital. Christy and Square were both arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Number 4. Victoria Cilliers. Over Easter weekend 2015, Victoria Cilliers was skydiving at the Army Parachute Association when both her main and reserve parachutes failed. As she plummeted from over 4,000 feet in the air, the crash should have killed her. Miraculously, she landed in a freshly plowed field and survived. Cilliers still sustained spinal injuries as well as fractures to her collarbone, pelvis, and several ribs. She was a highly experienced parachutist with 2,600 successful jumps. In the aftermath, her equipment was examined and found to have been tampered with. An investigation into the incident led back to Victoria's husband, Emil, who was also in the army as a sergeant. It turned out that, along with harboring significant debt, he had been sleeping with multiple other women and had hoped to use Victoria's life insurance to run away with one of his lovers. Emil had also unsuccessfully tried to kill her just days before the jump. Evidence was found that he had deliberately loosened a gas valve in their home, in the process endangering their 2 young children as well. Victoria revealed at his trial that unbeknownst to him, she had already cut Emil from her will before the incident, and he wouldn't have seen any money. He was sentenced to life in prison for attempted murder and endangering his children. Number 3. Savannah Pascal. In April of 2020, Trent Pascal went on the run from authorities after his wife Savannah was found murdered in their home from a gunshot wound to her torso. After fleeing the scene, Trent, who was 18 years her senior, posted a disturbing video to YouTube in which he apologized to their daughter. Despite confessing to the murder, he went on to blame his younger wife for his actions because he was convinced she was cheating, citing that he had told her not to mess with his emotions. He asked, "Why me?" before complaining that his hair was a mess. The video lasted 4 minutes before it was interrupted by what was assumed to have been the police. The confrontation resulted in a shootout from which Trent was mildly injured and taken into custody. By the time he had recovered in the hospital, he was able to post his $550,000 bond and was released on the grounds that he would wear an ankle monitor. Trent somehow managed to remove the device without it alerting the authorities and made a run for it. He got away by going to a dealer for a test drive and forcing the salesman out of the car at knife point. He went on the run, thus being seen as a dangerous fugitive and causing his attorney to sever all ties with him. Today's topic was inspired by Yo Dice Twice the Cool and Michael Smith. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Randy Allen. In July of 2021, Randy Allen was shot, killed and dismembered before he was found shoved in a children's closet. Authorities had already been told where to find the body and who'd been responsible. It was his wife, Thessalonica, who confessed to the killing. According to her reports, Randy beat her and her 2 kids. On the night of the murder, she'd allegedly been prompted to shoot him after he got violent and grabbed her by the neck. Her kids cast the shadow of a doubt on her story when they relayed their own version of events. According to them, Randy had confronted Thessalonica over a website she'd been on, but that the fight was taken into the bedroom. The children came running after they heard a loud bang, only to see Randy lying on the floor still alive and asking for help. Their mother, however, told them to go back to their bedroom and later enlisted them to try and drag the body to the car, but it was too heavy. Returning with cleaning supplies the next day, their mother then dismembered the body to try and fit it in a tote bag, but still, they couldn't get it to the car. Desperate to get the body out of her house, she then contacted an ex-boyfriend and father to one of her children and showed him what she'd done. She tried to convince him to help by claiming that Randy had been abusing them. Unconvinced and disturbed by what he saw, the man refused to help and asked to be driven back home. Upon dropping him off, Thessalonica threw the murder weapon out the car window, which the ex-boyfriend subsequently collected and turned in to police. Off his tip, Thessalonica was charged with 6 counts including murder, abuse of a corpse, and contributing to the delinquency of 2 minors. Number 1. Maria Jacobson. 43-year-old Maria Jacobson disappeared in late October of 2020 and was reported missing by her sister. Authorities immediately questioned her husband, Thomas Gotthard, who tried to convince them that she'd left her phone, cards, and computer at their home in Frederiksund, Denmark, because she was depressed. Gotthard continued to work as a local parish priest for 3 weeks while detectives built their case. Upon finding hydrochloric acid and caustic soda in their home, he was arrested, and the prosecution sought the maximum sentence. Gotthard maintained his innocence for as long as possible. However, he eventually admitted that along with marital issues, he was having a love affair and was worried about the fallout of a divorce. Using inspiration from the TV show Breaking Bad, the priest had tried to dissolve his wife's body in a barrel of acid. After hitting her on the back of the head with a stone, he kept the barrel locked in the shed overnight before chopping up her body and splitting up her remains between more barrels, burning and burying what he couldn't fit. At the end of his trial, he admitted to the murder and referred to himself as a thug. Prosecutors believed the only regret he had about the murder was that he'd been caught. Thanks for watching. Would you report your spouse to the authorities if you found out that at one point in their life they robbed a bank? Let us know in the comments section below.